One of the best places to practice bird photography is your own back garden. Quite often the bird's used to people and you don't need any specialist equipment like hides and big lenses. Today I'm going to try my hands with robins. The props I'm going to be using today are just a garden fork and a watering can. And first of all I'm going to walk over here and turn over a bit of soil in the hope of bringing up a few invertebrates. So I'm going to place this fork in here at a bit of an angle that it might act as an approach perch. My goal today is to get a simple portrait of a robin, but in an obvious garden setting, hopefully perched on this watering can. Although we don't actually have a national bird, the robin's probably the closest thing we have to it. Favourite foods are worms and invertebrates, and live mealworms are ideal for baiting them in. For garden birds, any lens in the range of 100mm to 400mm is going to be pretty worthwhile. The lens I'm using today is a 200 to 400mm zoom, and I'm aiming to use it wide open at f4 to give me a nice soft hazy background. And as long as the shutter speed is better than about 2/50th of a second, I'll stop any head movement on the bird. So I can afford to use quite a low ISO setting of 100. I'm now refining this shot by taking a much lower camera angle. That's because camera viewpoint has such a huge impact on backgrounds, and you might only need to move a metre or two to either side or up and down to make a huge change. And a garden setting's ideal for learning about that, taking advantage of compliant subjects. We know pretty well where our bird's going to be, and we can move the camera around to get the best out of the situation and improve our composition enormously. And now I've just disguised the front of the camera with this scrim and retreated into the shade of the kitchen a little more. And already one or two birds are coming a bit closer. So we've got robins coming and feeding on the ground around the watering can, but they're not yet using these high perches, and I'm going to try with a few mealworms in this tray to coax them up on the top. Okay, we're losing the light a bit now, so I've just introduced some daylight balanced fill flash to punch a bit of light into the foreground. It's using the TTL auto setting, and usually I compensate that with -2/3 or -1 stop to give it a more natural look, not too flashy. Okay, things are going pretty much as planned, and the robins are coming and taking the mealworms from the tray, but the final hurdle is to make that bait invisible. I'm going to take this shallow plastic tray and put a few mealworms in and float it on top of the water so that it's out of vision from the camera lens. I can hear robins singing already. Okay, it's making that contact call, is it? You hear that soft contact foot call before they come in and feed. I'm really happy with what we managed to achieve today in just a few hours, especially since I haven't actually done any of this kind of baiting for 4 or 5 years at least in my own garden. So these birds that we're looking at today are probably not the same individuals as I'd managed to habituate last time I tried it. Here's an early shot of a female blackbird against the soil, and really not very successful. Doesn't show up well at all. So this is where the robin's starting to feed around the base of the watering can, but I'm not very keen on the lighting and the rather bland background of the patio. Starting to get much better now with a bit of flower border in the background, but it's still rather a cluttered image. Now this is where it's really all come together. After just 3 or 4 hours, the bird's perching just where we want him, on the watering can. I've had a chance to pre-visualise this composition, so I know that I want an upright shot I know just how the background's going to look, and that I need just the right amount of fill flash to make it ideal. And the bird's even inclined his head to look at the food and reflecting a bit of sunlight in the eye, so that just adds a little bit more life to it. So good result in quite a short space of time. And the great thing about garden birds is that they are quite literally on your doorstep, so you've got every opportunity to go and repeat, and once you've got them habituated, be more creative, try and experiment with new ideas. And I would perhaps go on from here and maybe try wide-angle lenses fired on a remote cable or something like that, so you can really get into the character of your subject and just be adventurous.